Ireland for the past 2 years has been a blessing to myself and to my family and also my viewers. Today I'm really excited because I have my stamp 4 after living here for the past 2 years. So in today's video we're actually going to look at what a stamp 4 is, the difference between a stamp 4 card and also permanent residency in Ireland, and also look at some of the benefits of having a stamp 4 and also some of the documents I actually submitted for my stamp 4 application. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. After you've entered into Ireland, you need a residency permit to be able to reside in Ireland legally. And then for you to be able to work, in some cases, you would require a work permit. I've done a video on all of this. I'm also going to display it on my screen. Living in a foreign country requires that you hold a residency permit. Some residency permits actually give you the permission to work and also stay in the country without necessarily having to hold an employment permit, whilst others do not. I've been in Ireland for the past 2 years, and I was actually holding what is called a stamp 1, which is actually for the critical skill permit holders. When you hold a stamp 1 for 2 years in Ireland, you now qualify to apply for what is called a stamp 4. When you come into Ireland on a general work permit, then you have to wait for a solid 5 years before you can get your stamp 4. Okay, so that's the difference. So for me, as someone work on the critical skill permit holder, I just had to wait for 2 years. But if you come on a general work permit, then you have to wait for a period of 5 years before you can qualify for a stamp 4. Same for spouses. If your spouse also comes into Ireland, they get a stamp 1G, and then they have to wait for a period of 5 years before they can get their stamp 4. So for critical skill permit holders like myself, I only waited for 2 years, and finally I have my stamp 4. So now let's look at some of the benefits of having a stamp 4. When you have your stamp 4, the most important benefit of having a stamp 4 is that you don't have to be under any employer. Okay, so when you come in as a critical skill permit holder like myself and other professionals that actually fall under that category, you have to stay with the same employer for 2 whole years. So you cannot do any agency work, you cannot take up any other job from any employer. It is not allowed. You are only permitted to work with the same employer for 2 solid years. So after you are done with your 2 years, you can now apply for stamp 4. So that is the most important benefit of having a stamp 4, because you don't need any work permits anymore. So no need for any work permits. You can now do, if you're a nurse, you can now do agency work. Even if you're not even a nurse, so for us, you have the stamp 4, you can do any other work, take up shifts, try other new jobs, own a business, start up like, small businesses and all of that. So it's very, very important. That is the cool part of having a stamp 4. The second part of having a stamp 4, it kind of tantalizes me. After your stamp 4, you have 3 more years to get your citizenship or to become an Irish citizen in Ireland. So I have 3 more years to go, guys. The next thing is that with the stamp 4, it's a residency permit that gives you the permission to reside in Ireland for 2 whole years. Then you get to renew it after 2 years. So for instance, when I was actually on my stamp 1, so I had to renew that every year and pay a fee of 300 euros. And then with the stamp 4, I actually get to stay in Ireland for 2 years before I can renew it. Okay, so I don't have to do it every year again. So at least I have some 300 euros to save. Okay, so that's also the part that really excites me as well. And then the next step is, I think with the stamp 4, you can also access some public services, like just as an Irish citizen. So far as you meet some criteria, they usually do what is called a means test to check your income and all of that. You can also access some public services, some welfare benefits as well. So the next thing is that when you have your stamp 4, it's quite easy for you to actually apply for mortgage. Okay, so some people are still able to get their mortgage or get their houses even though they don't have a stamp 4, but most banks prefer individuals that actually have their stamp 4, because your stay in the country is kind of solid. At least when you have like couples that really want to buy a house, at least some banks will tell you that if one person has a stamp 4, it's quite easy for you to kind of progress with the whole process. Okay, so having a stamp 4 kind of gives you a solid grounds to get so many benefits in Ireland. And then last but not the the least, I'll say that having a stamp 4 is kind of a gateway to your long-term residency in Ireland, residency permit in Ireland, or your citizenship. I know I already mentioned the citizenship earlier on, but when it comes to residency, you know, some people from where they actually come from, they are not allowed to have dual citizenship. Okay, so in an instance where you've actually stayed in Ireland for 60 months or for 5 years, instead of maybe getting a citizenship, you can also opt to get a permanent residence. Yes, I know some of you like, oh, I thought stamp 4 is permanent residency. No, so it's different. So if you want a permanent residence, then you can do that after 5 years, or your citizenship after 5 years. So it's kind of a gateway, okay, for you to actually get your permanent residency or your citizenship. So these are the beautiful things that comes with stamp 4. Like, really, I'm so excited. So lastly, one benefit of having a stamp 4 is that your children are also eligible to apply for citizenship after 3 years of stay in Ireland. So if you're a stamp 4 holder and you have a child in Ireland, and then they are able to, like, you know, reside in Ireland for a period of 3 years, they can equally apply for citizenship as well. So these are some of the wonderful benefits of having a stamp 4 in Ireland. So let's look at some of the documents I had to submit for my stamp 4, and then we'll look at the main difference between you having a stamp 4 and also being a permanent resident in Ireland. So for you to actually apply for your stamp 4, if you are in Dublin, you have to actually do that online. I know Dublin and some other counties are actually located to Dublin, okay, but if you are supposed to apply for residency permit in your county, then you have to apply to the immigration service in that county. I know you all know that, those already in Ireland. So these are some of the documents I was asked to send over before I was given an appointment. Firstly, I was asked to send in my employment summary detail, which you can get that at your revenue account. Okay, you can just download that at the revenue account. Secondly, I also had to print out or attach the biometric page of my passport as well, and then my stamp 1. Remember, now I'm no more on stamp 1, I'm moving to stamp 4. Okay, so I'm already on stamp 4, so I had to then send a copy of my stamp 1 as well. And then the next thing was my pay slip. Okay, so I sent a recent pay slip as well, and also an employment letter from my employer. So these are the documents that was actually requested from me, which I did attach to the immigration service before I had appointment date to be able to go through the whole process. When it comes to online, I'm not too sure, but maybe if you're asked to add any other document, you can equally add this. I don't think it will take anything from you. So now let's look at the difference between permanent residency in Ireland and also the stamp 4. When it comes to the stamp 4 and then the permanent residency, these are the difference. So for you to be able to get your stamp 4, I know I've already been able to establish this. You should be able to live in Ireland for 2 years. And then after 2 years, you don't need any employment permit anymore. They are granted the stamp 4 or the residency permit to be in Ireland. Okay. And in that case, I've already established that some of the benefits of being on the stamp 4. Okay. And then for you to be able to get your permanent residency, you should be on the stamp 4 for an additional 3 years. Okay, so a total of 5 years before you can now apply for your permanent residency or your citizenship. There are some countries that do not allow dual citizenship. So in that case, most people in that category will actually go in for a long permanent residency instead of the citizenship. Okay, so in that case, they still have all the rights. They can still enjoy all the rights like someone who is an Irish citizen, just that they do not have the right to vote in national elections. That is it. And then with the permanent residency, you're not really kind of required to renew it. Okay, but with the stamp 4, you are required to renew it. So the stamp 4 also, it's like a gateway for you to actually acquire your permanent residency or your citizenship. So these are the difference. I know a lot of people kind of get confused with the permanent residency or the stamp 4, but it's not like that. There are two different things. Just that with one, as I've already established, I know I'm repeating myself, is that you stay in Ireland for 2 years and then you get to renew it. Okay, and then you're also on your gateway to get your permanent residency or your citizenship. I hope I've been able to kind of explain this whole thing to you. Okay, so thank you guys so much for always staying with me, for supporting your girl. If you haven't hit the like button, what are you waiting for? Just, you know, click on this right now. Subscribe if you're a newcomer on my channel. Welcome so much. I do everything Ireland, okay, supporting, encouraging others to also migrate to Ireland. If you have any question for me, any congratulations, why not just leave it at the comment section for a girl. I'll definitely come to you and also reply that as well. Thank you guys so much for always supporting me and always guiding me through each and every step. If you haven't watched my video on the reason why I still love Ireland after staying in Ireland for 2 years, remember to just support your girl and then watch that video as well. If you haven't watched the video on the various type of employment permits as well, do well to watch that video as well. It will really be of great help to you. Thank you guys so much. See you all soon on my next video.